to welcome you all to the first 2025 Coffee with Kendall. I'm Kendall Mead, the owner of Brandt Travel. Got my coffee in hand, and we're very excited to share one of our fabulous partners with you today, Viking Cruises. Viking, I would say right now is one of the hottest travel companies that you can book with. And this is the beginning of wave season, although it feels like it might be midway through because it has been so busy. Wave season basically means this is the busy time to book and the best time for you to consider booking because Viking is offering you really, really great promotions. And those always go together with our group rates that we have on a variety of itineraries all the way through 2027. So today we are having our Viking expert guest, Eric Molina, share with you some great options to consider with Viking, and again, the best time to book and take advantage.
Thank you, Kendall. I appreciate it. I'm going to share my screen very quickly. Thank you all for joining us this morning. That being said, we'll move forward. So yes, I like that. I mean, we are, at the forefront as far as I would say travel companies. I think we've done a great job from delivering a product from a small ship experience and working with travel partners and advisors like Brandt Travel. I think you're definitely in great hands as they are able to navigate all of the offers and all of the opportunity to really see this great world. So with that being said, Viking, all we do at Viking is small ship experiences. So we're talking about river cruises, right? So just under 200 guests, about 190 guests for the most part, under 1,000 guests on ocean cruise sailings. So our ships are just under 1,000 guests, and then on expedition as well. So just under 400 guests. But we are now proudly able to say we sail on all 7 continents, about 21 rivers, 5 oceans, and all 5 Great Lakes. So not only are we able to visit the very, very far reaches of the world, we're also able to discover things that are closer to home for those of you that are not looking to maybe fly 8 hours or more plus. And that's what it looks like. I mean, that's what the scale of looks like as far as the ability to have that consistency when it comes to Viking, no matter where you are sailing in the world with us, whether it's the inside passage of Alaska and the Caribbean, Northern Europe, on a river cruise on the Nile, sailing in Southeast Asia. It gives you the frame of mind of exploring the world in comfort. And we're all about the destination at Viking. Simply put, it's all about less time getting there and more time spent within the port of call for us. So this is what a shot of that looks like. This is one of our new ocean ships, the Viking Polaris, a couple seasons ago. And then one of our brand new river ships here just outside the port of Amsterdam. So again, it's the consistency. You're not having to relearn a different ship every time you leave and go out to explore, regardless of where you do sail with Viking. It's that ability to have that home away from home feeling. So we still feel that we are the expert in small ship cruising. We're all about the destination. As I mentioned, it's all about cultural enrichment, complete with whatever is going on board is going to kind of emulate what is going on, whether you're on a river, ocean, or expedition cruise with Viking. We do pride ourselves in having a very high customer satisfaction rating, but all truth be told, small ship cruises are the most highly reviewed segment of travel. Again, that's why I truly believe you want to rely on Brandt Travel to really navigate the different brands that are out there, kind of pair you with what is best suited to kind of accomplish what you're looking to experience. So very quickly here, I love these coffee breaks. I don't want to sound like a terms and conditions at the end of a cell phone commercial, but I will go pretty quickly here with regard to some of the itineraries because we do have just so much as far as the offer in Europe alone, just river cruising. So this is our flagship itinerary. It's a 2-week experience. You'd be sailing on the Rhine, Main, Main-Danube Canal and the Danube River. So we go from Amsterdam to Budapest, and we go in either direction from Budapest to Amsterdam, and we sail through the majority of the year. So you're looking at about May through October timeframe on the Grand European Tour. Iconic cities like Amsterdam. Keep in mind with Viking, on the majority of our itineraries, if not close to all, we always overnight at embarkation and overnight at disembarkation. So you get to see the cities that you're coming into and see the cities that you're leaving from without having to do any sort of pre-extension or post-extension. I always highly recommend additional time pre or post, just because I think we're in the time of our lives where we kind of have to pack our patience, and we are at the mercy of the airlines. So just keep all of that in mind as we move forward, and you consider lengths of itineraries. For those of you that take a flight that's 8 hours or more, it's been said, market research wise, that the least amount of time you want to spend in destination is 11 days, 10 nights. So for whatever that's worth, just keep that in mind when you are working with Brent to plan your future trips. Again, iconic cities like Amsterdam. We also overnight in Vienna. About 80% of the entire river cruise segment is on this stretch of the rivers, right? So the Rhine, Main, and Danube. Also get to see the Wachau Valley and Vienna. We overnight, as I mentioned, and then overnight in Budapest, whether we start there or end there. It's kind of what it looks like here map wise. And, we do have the 8 day, 7 night variations. And some of our most popular ones are going to be your Romantic Danube, which is going to be Regensburg to Budapest or Budapest to Regensburg. You're still able to experience the Wachau Valley, experience Vienna in all of its glory, and then some quaint towns in of the corner and really border of Austria and Germany into Germany, and we do go in either direction. You do have extensions offered here in Prague in the Czech Republic, which is probably one of our top pre or post extensions based on date and direction. We do additional time offerings in Budapest as well as in Munich and in Nuremberg. If you don't hear something that you absolutely love, or you want to tweak things a certain way, again, that's what Brandt Travel is there for, to maybe build things outside of the Viking program. I think Kendall will agree. We do have a lot of robust offerings, but we don't always have every single city that may be, in the area of where we start a river cruise, whether it's sailing on the Rhine, Main, or Danube. Cruise land tours have become very popular. As you can imagine, we cannot create any new rivers. So we are doing cruise land tours. We are taking original itineraries, making them more robust, including hotel experiences, as well as train experiences moving forward in 2025. So again, take a look at those offerings. One of our most popular river cruises right now is in Portugal. I think a very, very much undervalued scene with regard to food and wine. Historical value is certainly there. We include the hotel stay in Lisbon, and then we motor coach up to Porto, and we get on a purpose-built vessels for the Douro. So they're even a little bit smaller than what we call our long ships on the Rhine, Main, and Danube. So just under 160 guests. We're going to sail round trip Porto, all those beautiful terrace vineyards. And again, it's an 8 day, 7 night sailing on the Douro River on a purpose-built vessel for the Douro. We do that as well on the Elbe River. We do that on the Seine. You got a little bit smaller vessels on some of these other rivers that are a little bit more shallow, more narrow, and just would not be appropriate to have, say, the Mississippi River cruise ship, or even our long ships that accommodate 190 guests that are on the Rhine, Main, and Danube in southern France. So again, cruise land tours are very popular. Portugal in and itself is probably one of the top 6 destinations in the world prior to COVID, and it's even come roaring back since we've recovered from the pandemic. So don't want to forget France, of course, southern France, as I mentioned, all the over-the-top Gallo-Roman ruins, food and wine scene, of course. We sail from Avignon to Lyon or Lyon to Avignon. We go in either direction with extensions in Nice and also in Paris pre or post. We do use the rail when you do an extension in Paris, whether it's going or coming from Paris, we're going to use the TGV to get you down to the embarkation or disembarkation. So keep that in mind. Again, southern France is your Rhone and Saône sailing. We also do Paris in the heart of Normandy, which is going to be your round trip Paris itinerary. That again is something that we sail almost year round from that April timeframe through November. Ample time in Paris, docked right in the heart of the city center there, about 400 or 500 yards at max from the Eiffel Tower. And again, 8 days, 7 nights. We overnight at embarkation with Paris, as well as when we come back to Paris. But this itinerary really, I think, is the big focal point, is sailing north out of Paris into, Giverny, Rouen, and having that 3/4 day extension out at the Normandy beaches, which is, again, something very spectacular to experience. It was, Paris kind of stole the show a little bit last year. I think it's coming off a banner year with hosting the Olympics, and really, France from in its entirety hosting the Olympics. Much of the focus in Paris, and then the big 80th year anniversary with the 80th anniversary celebrating the June 6th. So I don't think you had to be there on June 6th to really feel it. It's something they really started celebrating as of the beginning of last year, and it went all the way through the December timeframe. So I have to say it is a day that we do get only the feedback that it just wasn't enough time. I think it'll never be enough time, right? So you do visit Normandy beaches and the U.S. military cemetery, and I think being able to dock up in Le Havre is the only way to really see this as a day trip without having to go, say, all the way from Paris. So not that I would, if I had a choice to do it or not do it, I would do it from Paris if I had to. But I think with a river cruise, it gives you the opportunity to maximize your time again with the destination. I think that's something that needs to be said for those of you that have not river cruised and really have not small ship cruised in general, or even if you have, say, with ocean cruising, it's still very different with river cruising. We probably have more in common with a hotel land experience. It's a hotel experience, really. I mean, you are within a 5-10 minute walk from city centers. The on and off capability is that much more easier with river cruising. And it truly is different than even small ship experiences on ocean, or, of course, expedition, which is, I think, in its entirety, a little bit different of a feel with the way it's really catered to. I wouldn't say with Viking hardcore expedition, but certainly a little bit more in the element, right? So didn't want to shy away from talking about Egypt. Actually, I have a lot to show and kind of give you some updates with regard to Egypt. Everything's gone really well. We didn't cancel or pause any sailings last year, which was great news. The only thing we put on hold, of course, was Jerusalem as a pre-extension in Israel. But this is a fully guided with an Egyptologist round trip Cairo, another one of our very, very popular cruise land tours right now. And we're the leader here. We definitely have the most capacity on the Nile River. It's a very popular destination. Again, one of these top 3 destinations of the world prior to the pandemic, and came roaring back afterwards. So again, we've always in the past done a pre-extension in Jerusalem as an offering, but that's been paused. But we are continuing on with the cruises. Spectacular reviews from 2024, probably one of our highest reviewed products across the board of Viking, regardless if it's ocean, river, or expedition. So have some new photos for you. I know that Kendall's always like, Eric, I need new photos, right? I mean, people love to hear what you have to say, at least I hope. But also new photos are always great. So some exterior shots of the new vessels that are on the Nile for Viking. We have 6 there to be exact. And by 2030, which I know 5 years sounds like a long time, but by 2030, we'll have 10 vessels. So we certainly will certainly invested heavily on sailing on the Nile. And we believe that folks will continue to really flock to see this in all of its glory, and with all of the things that have opened up and everything they've done to promote tourism in Egypt following the pandemic. So, and even a little bit prior. So you have your exterior shots here of the vessels. Again, you're just at about 80 guests. These are purpose built for the Nile. So it's very very quaint. You still have suite accommodations or true two room suite accommodation abilities, but you see here on the sun deck. So I love to show you actual real photos as opposed to the renderings I used to have prior. And you have like your aquavit terrace. So it is just a little bit smaller of a version of what's going on a Rhine-Main-Danube sailing, right? Even smaller than your ships that sail on the Douro and even the Elbe River or that Seine itinerary I showed you with the Paris and the heart of Normandy. So the Aquavit Terrace is certainly there. Your guest services, the way you come on and off the ship, and then of course you still have your Explorer suites that are still your true two-room suite accommodations. So I was happy to finally get real photos. That are not renderings or what do we have to do now? The AI disclaimer that these photos might have AI enhancement, but these are these are actual photos done by White Ring. So again, true two-room suite availabilities. You have your veranda suite that has that full sit-down veranda for two off the living room lounge, veranda suite bedroom, and then your veranda, right? So you still have your floor to ceiling glass window pane that opens to a full sit down veranda for two with your veranda staterooms, not necessarily the suite accommodation. So that's what the actual vessel kind of looks like. And then just some highlights is we do include, of course, the hotel experience in Cairo, and then we're going to have some intra Cairo air as we make our way over to getting on board the vessel. But there's just so much to experience in Cairo. I highly recommend if you don't do a pre that we're offering, because we did offer a couple different ones in lieu of Jerusalem, which we'll talk about. But maybe some additional time in Cairo can be arranged because it is one of those cities that I think you just need more time in. As we go over to Luxor, as you can imagine, in all of its wonder. I don't think these pictures. I had a colleague that used to be with Viking. She's now living her best life, and she just went on this itinerary. And I was so envious of her photos because they were just absolutely amazing. And she's like, it just none of these photos do any justice, Eric. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing because these photos look great. But I think just her experiences and listening to how the crowds are not as maybe as big as they were prior to the pandemic, and how she felt so secure and safe, and the program with our Egyptologists on the ground there with Viking. It was even though she's been with Viking and worked for Viking for several years, for her from enjoying her first post retirement sailing with us, she was just like, look, I was able to get to Cairo and kind of just turn my brain off and just soak in all the sites and of course, all the historical relevance that Egypt has to offer. And she did this spectacular balloon ride, which I thought was just amazing. So, of course, these aren't her photos, but I was glad to finally get a photo. Just kind of listening to her story recently, and I'm like, look, I want to incorporate real photos that we have that White Rain has produced and put them into the presentation for Egypt, because I think you certainly, if it's ever been on your bucket list and you've been hesitating to go, I can't think of a better time to go than now to Egypt. This is your Aswan. So we do sell from Luxor to Aswan. And then, again, you have your intra-Egypt air. You have the ability to go to Abu Simbel on an optional excursion. Of course, got to include um, a market here, there in Aswan. And it's just, again, phenomenal. We've tried to make up for time because folks really want to spend more time when they take a flight that's long, and we incorporate a little bit of time in Istanbul as a potential for a pre-extension. It's working quite well. Also, this British collection of itinerary is also working, but I think the runaway winner has always been Jerusalem and Israel, which again is a shame that's paused right now, but really it's been Jordan. I would say almost 7 out of 10 folks that go on our Egypt Now cruise do the post extension in Jordan. So I think it's something to really consider, not be missed. We also do Alexandria, and you'll see also we're going to be doing Cairo as a pre. So now it's hot. It really is. So I wanted to spend some additional time on that. If there's any questions, concerns, comments, we can certainly address that. But I'm going to move to ocean here quickly. I know I asked Kendall for a longer coffee break than usual, but because there's a lot to cover. There's just so many changes and things we're doing. But um, ocean, we're selling into 13 ships now. Took delivery of our 11th ocean ship. It's just absolutely stunning. It is still a continuation of what we do on the rivers, and we kind of flowed that into expedition, right? You have your very Scandinavian decor with a touch of Norwegian folkloric decor. um, I don't know if Kendall was going to touch on this later, so I won't steal too much of her thunder, but I think she just got off an ocean cruise herself, so maybe she can highlight a little bit of that. But I hope that you'll agree that they're just beautiful, stunning ships. They're very quiet. I think across the fleet with Viking, you'll find that our ships are very quiet. In fact, I think we're trying to coin that phrase, we're the quiet ships. We don't pump announcements in multiple languages through the intercoms. We don't put that through your stateroom. In fact, there are no announcements to announce when shore excursions are kind of moving on if you don't show up. Nothing like that. There's no casinos on board. There's no one under the age of 18 on board, so no children, no art auctions, no photographer, nothing like that. Nothing that we've deemed to be, so to say, a distraction and away from the cultural enrichment and the tranquility of having that home away from home. So, we do have an Explorers Lounge. It's a two-story glass and case experience there on our Viking Ocean ships. It is your piano bar type of atmosphere in the evening. You have a nice little tucked away corner up top. It's just a great way to kind of get away or come into a destination or leave from one. And they make beautiful spots on your common public areas, I should say. For you're going to have some days at sea based on the itinerary. Sometimes you have multiple days at sea. So we've just tried to make it really refreshing. You have 930 guests on these vessels, so they feel very, very comfortable, very, very wide open. The Winter Garden is probably my favorite room in the entire vessel. It's where we do our international tea time every day at 3 p.m. Tea sommelier, ability to go through the teas of the world with you. You have your resident chamber music playing, fresh scones, finger sandwiches. Heck, if you want to have any beverage in there, you so may bring it in, but it is where we have our formal tea time. And I've had guests come back to me and say, I thought there was just a private event going on every day at 3 o'clock, and I never accessed that. And I thought that was funny because it does look like that from my next slide here. The main pool, the Winter Garden is adjacent to the main pool, and you can access it through those doors on the side. They're on either side of the Winter Garden. And typically, since it is at 3 p.m. and there might be folks, utilizing the main pool, we'll keep those retractable doors closed unless we need more space, because you do have the resident chamber music playing in there. So if you're not familiar with Viking and you've never been on Viking, it's your first time, you may have thought that international tea time at 3 p.m. in the Winter Garden was a private event for those that wanted to listen to chamber music and drink tea, and it was something additional you had to pay for. Not at all. Access to any of our, again, pools, the Winter Garden, the hydrotherapy pool in the spa, access to the spa, the gym, that's all included. The only thing you're paying additional for is services that you may look for in the spa. So again, it's the fine art of detail with Viking. It truly is the ability to say that we have thought of everything for you, even the most small details. I'm going to show you very quickly my favorite cabin on the ocean vessels. Keep in mind, we do have the minimum on these vessels is a veranda stateroom that's over 200 square feet and has a full sit-down veranda for two, right? For those of you that are used to the word balcony, it's a balcony that you both can sit on or two people can sit on, and it goes up from there, right? And this is probably my favorite cabin, a little bit more room for entertaining, seating for four. You have the ability to kind of break this room up. It is not a true two-room suite, but it gives you that ability to create one if so need be. Still the veranda for two. Also your double sinks, kind of almost a double vanity space, double sinks in the bathroom, and just again overall more space. really my favorite cabin. But it does go all the way up to your Explorer suites, which are your true two-room suite experiences. And then we have one owner suite on every ocean vessel, which is about the size of a good small, nice small apartment, right? It's about 1,500 square feet. So, for those of you that remember your first apartment, I know mine was not that big. So, anyway, we're on that note, we've kind of reintroduced China in the fall of last year. It went extremely well. They are longer itineraries, but I think it's going really well. We're kind of leading the way to see China once again. If you've followed Viking for through the history of Viking, you would have known that one of our top destinations was visiting the Yangtze River and visiting, say, Beijing, Xi'an, and Shanghai via land, and then cruising on the Yangtze River. It was actually regarded as one of the top trips to do. Um, One of the top trips to do in the entire world. It was, I believe, number 4 on that list for a long time. So we felt that the need to do some coastal cruising, ocean cruise wise. So we were using an ocean vessel. We're doing some coastal cruises along China. We've also incorporated some Japan in some of these itineraries. And if you're not familiar with keeping up with what's going on in the travel world, Japan's number 1 on most people's list as far as hottest destination right now. So I think it's going extremely well. We're also having better access to obtaining the visas for Lhasa, Tibet. In the past, we did river cruising there. It was kind of a hit or miss. It was kind of more of an adventure for a lot of folks to book that extension as a post, because at times, they'd pull the visas. But we're having great access to Lhasa and Tibet, so that's ever been on anyone's bucket list, right? Being able to visit the roof of the world. But it's a booming travel destination. It's one of the reasons to visit China. Of course, all the amazing over-the-top historical gems that are just everywhere, as you see here with Xi'an, the terracotta warriors. And it really presents some of the best value in years to be able to do it on one of our state-of-the-art vessels, ocean-wise, but still have the comfort and ability to be working with those same escorted tour, or those tour escorts that with River would really be there almost at the airport in Beijing, and then we're with you the entire time until they put you in the airport in Shanghai, right? Based on the direction we were going in an itinerary. But my point is that we've brought those folks back. A lot of them are the folks that used to work with us when we did River in China. So for those of you that have done China with us on the River, then you can really keep me honest here that it's just a spectacular experience, the way you had that fully guided experience in a whole different world, right? And I think you feel that in not just China but all of Southeast Asia. But it's access to exclusive ports. If you are a port collector, it's another reason to visit China. Again, some of our most popular, these immersive China itineraries, they're longer, right? 2-week experiences, 20-day experiences. Your Beijing round trip is another, longer 20-day experience. I think the one that's seen probably the most uptick is your New Wonders of China and Tibet. It is new for 2025, so it's your 22-day Beijing round trip, and also your new best of China and Tibet, which is the one I kind of wanted to feature here in the map. Don't have time to go through all of these, but this is what that looks like. So you have your inter-China air, and then your cruise from Shanghai to Hong Kong, and then vice versa as well. So, and then there's some, again, itineraries that also incorporate some Japan experiences. So very, very pleased on the way this is going. If you've ever wanted to, again, go to China, I would definitely not hold back. It's a destination that we're again providing a lot of value in, and also offering some fantastic deals. So Australia and New Zealand, another place that is going to take a little while to get to, but we have quite a bit of great airlift out of some major cities in the U.S. and North America for that matter. But Australia and New Zealand probably are one of our top 3 itineraries as far as ocean experiences. We do a lot of pre-extension stuff in Australia as well as post in New Zealand as well. So this can quickly climb to about a 3-week experience, but this is jam-packed with value just with these 2 weeks. if you've ever priced out going down to Australia and New Zealand and trying to kind of see as much as you would see on this ocean experience, it would get it's very time consuming building an FIT experience like that, and also it's going to be a lot of wear and tear on you, right? Going from place to place, having to pack and unpack, and that's just not an easy flight. It's that's like LA to New York right there from Auckland to New Zealand. Sorry, from Auckland to Sydney, Sydney to Auckland. So it's about 5.5 hours. So it's not. I know it looks close on the map, but it's not actually that close. This is our number one best-selling ocean cruise experience right now. British Isles Explorer, right? Being able to explore England, Ireland, and Scotland. This is a 2-week experience. We offer more time in London, as well as more time in Bergen there in Norway, and then time in well if you are willing to do the train ride from Bergen over to Oslo. So again, this is number one. It's by far it just we can't keep this on the shelf, and I think Kendall can really attest to that. And I think she may even have a group date on the British Isles Explorer. So take a look at that. The Med Odyssey, back of the boot, right? So even for those of you that have done maybe a lot of Mediterranean cruising, this is my favorite 13-day experience, Barcelona to Venice, Venice to Barcelona. You get to experience that wonderful, over-the-top, stunning Croatian coastline into the Ionian Sea, through the Messina Strait, and you still have staples and the ability to kind of like, sail right by the Amalfi Coast and experience that for the day, go into Naples, all your time in Rome, Toscana there, and visit Florence, and then the French Riviera, calling on Monte Carlo, and then also into southern France, and then finally either starting or ending in Barcelona, Spain. We do additional time in Venice, some pre or post in Rome as well, and then of course Barcelona pre or post. So again, keep that in mind for a 2-week experience. Very, very cool, and I think for many, the Adriatic Sea is something that may be on the top of the list. It's just absolutely stunning and gorgeous. Okay, and finally, expeditions. What can I say? This has just been a shocking surprise. I mean, I think it's been everywhere where I didn't know we were going to go. That's been just so shocking and doing extremely well. I say that because we always knew we were going to go to the Arctic and then call on the peninsula of Antarctica, but I never knew that our most popular expedition sailing was going to be going from Toronto to Milwaukee. I would have never guessed that the Great Lakes would be this much of a success, but got to thank our CEO and chairman and founder, Torstein Hagen, with always having great just vision and insight with folks with where folks would want to sail and find interesting. So these are our two new expedition ships. They're going into their 4th sail season now. I can't believe it's flown that quickly, but the Octanus and Polaris are like nothing we've ever done. I say that because they're just under 400 guests, 378 to be exact. You have true scientific research being conducted on board, everything from your hands-on demonstrations. We've done a lot of polling with regard to expedition sailing, and it's come to find out that about half the cabin doesn't want to be there, right? One of the 2 people in that cabin don't want to be there. They're only going to these destinations because he or she wanted to. And we needed to make the ship very interesting, even if that person never wanted to call on the peninsula of Antarctica or ever get off the ship. So there is a lot to do and see on board and participate in. I think you really feel included in the expedition, whether you even have ice time or not. And then there's just a lot of other toys that make it very comfortable, that maybe you want to kind of venture out, or you changed your mind once you're already on board and you're like, you know what, I think I can handle that. Can't handle a Zodiac, but I can handle one of these ribs and one of these other vehicles that kind of get you to explore, but not necessarily by getting in a Zodiac, right? Or getting into a submersible, right? So we've kind of considered all of that, and we bring it all together with the Viking standard and really delivering something that truly is different from anything we've ever done from a standpoint of, if you've been with me on river or ocean, it's a little bit more structured from a black and white policy, from a standpoint of look, when we come into milk, you're either going to the Abbey or not is a really good recommendation, or you're either going here or you're not, right? So, like in Cologne, you're going to go see the Dom Cathedral, or you're not. You're going to, so with expedition, it's very much everything is second to wildlife, to the research, and to the weather. And you may have signed up to be having ice time on a Tuesday morning, but now that's been shifted to Tuesday afternoon or vice versa. So, and I gotta say, I started this with the shocking, development that the Great Lakes has really been a huge success. But you have Canada and the Northwest Passage now, with so much surrounding Greenland, and having opening up the new airport, and Viking is going to be chartering a Viking flight from Newark, New Jersey to Nuuk. So those will only be Viking guests on those planes, on that chartered flight. But this is very, very popular right now. This is doing extremely well. Canada and the Northwest Passage. So this is what that 27-day new experience looks like on the expedition sailing. So it is a Toronto embarkation, but this is so long, right? But it's doing extremely well. But it is longer than it takes me 2 slides to show you the ports of call here. So I'll kind of flip here for a couple of seconds just so that everybody catches up on the first slide, and then again we go to the second half of that itinerary. But and I think it'll make more sense for you with my last slide on it here with the map. So I'll let everybody catch up there, because I know some of these images are bigger files and take a little bit longer to load. But as you can see there, going into just a wonderful itinerary, very, 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 very much in the forefront of exploration and expedition opportunity. So if you can be gone 27 days plus, this is what you're booking, right? So this is what you're booking. And it's just neat to be able to say that we're going into Greenland. I think they're following suit because they saw how much success Iceland has been having from a tourism standpoint and welcoming North American guests. One of the only countries we could sail to back in 21 when we did our restart cruises was Iceland, and we were doing that round trip Reykjavik, and it just was just a star, and people wanted to see more of this given area, whether it's going from Bergen over to Iceland, into Greenland, to New York, or Greenland and incorporating the U.S. Eastern Seaboard. I think this is a smashing hit to technically be within that Arctic Circle. So very, very cool stuff. And then it's just stunning, right? I mean, look how we come into Toronto, there on Ontario, and then your staples with expedition, is your Canadian Discovery, where we go from New York to Toronto. Where the ship was built to handle some of the roughest waters in the world. They're Polar Class 6 vessels. They are, but also built with the finesse to be able to get through places like the Gulf of St. Lawrence, have the emission levels to be able to explore places like Iceland and Greenland. And I forgot to mention that you have zero emissions on the brand new ocean ship to be able to continue to sail in the fjords when Norway wants to finally actually, they passed it, they just haven't started it. They keep delaying when that's going to be put into effect. And I'm talking about zero emissions to be able to sail within and through by some of the greatest landscapes there with the fjords in Norway. But going back to expedition very quickly, the ship is built to be able to get through Gulf of St. Lawrence, the St. Lawrence River, all the way onto Lake Ontario, and be able to sail on all 5 Great Lakes. And I mentioned, right, Niagara and the Great Lakes. This is our most popular expedition sailing, and it's not even close. So Toronto onto Lake Ontario, through the Welland Canal by the Niagara Falls, onto Lake Erie, stopping in Point Pelee, and then going up and around the great state of Michigan. I like the kid that we put Detroit back on the map, but I have to tell you, what a bounce back! It's having definitely a renaissance there in Detroit. I mean, that port of call is actually really, really visually nice. And then people have really enjoyed the Ford Museum. So up and over, we stop in Mackinac Island, Traverse City, and then into Milwaukee. So, and then for the first time this year, we'll also be calling on the city of Chicago. So we're not doing any embarkation or disembarkation there just yet, but Chicago's finally saying, okay, you can come see us. So, when you think Lake Michigan, I think you think Chicago. Not that Milwaukee hasn't been gracious, and we'll continue to do our embarkation, disembarkation there, but it's always neat that whenever we can add a destination that we weren't able to prior. So I'll look for that. Then, of course, your Great Lakes Explorer, Milwaukee to Thunder Bay, and Thunder Bay to Milwaukee. So very, very neat. Lots of things happening in Viking. I was able to cover it in, I don't know, Kendall, 42 minutes maybe. I know you gave me the majority and the bulk of the time. I don't know if these are supposed to be 45 minutes or 30 minutes, but I thought I'd just take the time to share everything I could with you with regard to what's the latest and greatest. And we did extend our choice offer, and we'll have some other offers throughout the wave season. Of course, you have some added value. You're leaving money on the table when you don't utilize Brandt Travel. But again, I will let them do what they do best, and that is recommend the best product, the best itineraries, and put you in the best, the best situation to explore the world as you see it fit. So thank you so much for the time. I'm going to enjoy a couple sips of my coffee. I don't have a fancy Brandt Travel mug, but
Oh,
maybe
I'm
one day.
pretty sure we could arrange that, Eric.
I don't know. You keep winning Viking awards. I see your beautiful award behind you there.
Thank you.
We sincerely appreciate all you do, and thank you for entrusting us in our mutual past guests. And hopefully, we can welcome some new guests on board.
Yes, absolutely. And I did want to touch a little bit on what you mentioned earlier, which is that I just recently did return a few weeks ago from an Viking ocean sailing. I had the opportunity to experience the quiet season in the Mediterranean, which was absolutely unbelievable. Temperatures were great. They were not much cooler than they are here in Dallas. Uh, to be able to see the historic sites and actually take a photograph without any human standing in front of it was unreal to me. There were no selfie sticks out in my face. So it truly is a great way to travel like a local. Highly recommend the Mediterranean. We went from Barcelona to Rome and in January, and I know a lot of people would think, oh, that just doesn't sound like prime time. It was absolutely prime time and a great savings. So if you are considering traveling in the winter in that quiet season, Viking has many opportunities for you to do that, and I do highly recommend it. Remember, a lot of these cooler climates in these cabins, you have heated floors, which feels so fantastic when you walk on those, and you've got your towel warmers, so you really do feel spoiled both on the ship and off the ship. So can't say enough about that. Also, for everyone that joined us today, I want you to know that for participating, you're going to receive a bonus incentive from us. That is a $300 onboard credit for anyone who reaches out, asks for us to place a hold for you, and mentions I love Viking. That's all you have to say. I love Viking. We know you participated today, and that's your bonus incentive for joining us. So also keep in mind what Eric said. We have that special Explorer sale and some additional promotions available from Viking. Those are all applicable as well. So thanks again for joining us. We look forward to assisting you in the future. And thank you, Eric, and thanks, Viking. Bye for now.